Good afternoon, guys. Dr. Ken Nordberg. One other thing I wanted to mention is that, every time we go out in the morning in the dark to a stand site, we move steady, like I talked about in all the reasons, non-stop to our stand site. And a lot of guys have written letters and they couldn't imagine how we get away with getting there without deer in the immediate area knowing it, or without alarming them. And I usually answer, well, of course, if you don't know how to do it, you're going to alarm deer in the area around your stand site, going there in the dark. But if you do it right, and if your stand site's in the right place, and you have really good approach cover getting there, and things like that, the wind is proper, and you walk properly, all those things, you can get there most of the time without alarming deer within 50 yards. But not, it isn't 100%, but I would say 90% at least. Now, one of the things we do, there are places where our approach cover isn't ideal. Stand site we like to use is a little bit over that way a little bit, where the intervening cover isn't really heavy. And you can go there in the dark. Deer can see in the dark as well as they can by day, and if you go across an opening or climb a tree without cover around you, they're going to see that movement and, oh, there's a human, and that's the end of that stand site for that morning. So we want really good approach cover, but we've got a few spots where we do what we call stop short hunting. And we get as close as we can to that stand site, and see, maybe it's over there just a little ways, maybe 10, 20 steps away. But doggone, it's kind of open around here, and if there are deer feeding out there in that feeding area out here in front, if they're close, they're probably going to see you going across that little opening. And think about that too, when you're climbing a tree to go to the tree stand, if your body is easily spotted going up that tree, that's just as bad. Well, so what we do is stop short. Now we've got a number of stand sites we've used over the years, and we added one this year, where we get to the point where you have good cover right up to here, but this is a little bit open over this way, and kind of fearful of going across that without making sure there's no deer over here. And we call those stop short sites, and I mark them with 3 fluorescent tacks. You hit those 3 tacks, it might be a triangle or 2 or 3 vertical, but they're close to the ground always, because when you get close to where you're going to hunt, your flashlight can't be shining all around up here somewhere. It's got to be down close to the ground. So you get to that, we stop short and wait for first light. Be very still there, and starting to get light. Now you can see out there, you don't hear any twigs snapping, you don't hear any hoofbeats, a deer jumping over a log or something. You're watching and watching, and it's getting light. Maybe it's full light now, but nothing there. So as soon as you think, oh, there's no deer, they're going to see me here, go across that. Then we do it. And then we tiptoe across to the stand site and sit down. So that's paid off so many times. Hey guys, John and I are out here on our 3rd day of scouting up here. And here's another one of our stop short sites. John got a big 10-pointer here last year, just up on the other side of this ridge here. And to get there, it's kind of open. So he likes to stop here and listen and watch for a while. It's usually dark about the time he gets here. And we mark this stop short site with 3 tacks. I generally do that at such spots. And in fact, he was just saying he thinks he's got stop short sites at every one of his stand sites up here. So anyway, the other thing you do when he finds this tree, he knows this is the place where his flashlight's got to go off. No more flashlight after this point. So it means he has to wait just a little bit, maybe 10, 15 minutes actually, before he can decide to go up over there. If he hears anything that sounds like it might be a deer over there, or see any moving up ahead on this ridge, then he'll wait here for a while until they finally get out of the way. And there's a feeding area just the other side of this ridge. And there's a place over there where older bucks like to bed, or at least in past years they did that. So kind of a dynamite spot here. And it sure was last year. Of the 3 bucks John got last year, the biggest one came from this spot up here. Take a look back on our trail going back in the opposite direction. Up to this point you can see we got really solid cover, approach cover. This is what we like when going to a stand site, so you're hidden from view all the way to the stand site. In this place we got a little opening across before he can sit down, so that's why we make stop short sites. It's like this on a lot of our stand site approach trails.
That's my ground blind. You can see how exposed this is here at first. And that's all it is, my ground blind. I get in there, cover up, put my mask on, and then this is the feeding area here. I'm on the ground, but I'm like 25 feet up. And that's where I shot the buck last year, over there.
Hey guys, here's an example of another one of our favorite browse plants of our whitetails. See this thing with the gray bark down there? Dark tips. There's a little bit gold in them in some places, but whitetails like that. That's called mountain maple. I think they like that as much as red osiers, but they aren't as common here in this area as they were in the area we hunted for 20 years before moving. Now, you can see all the dead tips on here. Whitetails have been eating on it in previous years down here. Yeah. So we're always looking for those dead tips wherever we go. Hey guys, we got up in the tent this morning and got the stoves going to warm it up. Looked outside and surprised to find 6 inches of new snow on the ground. And right away we thought, well, we're not going to see much in the way of tracks today. It's going to seem like there's no deer at all in this country. And there's a reason for that. Usually when we get the first heavy snowfall, and 6 inches is kind of on the bottom edge of what would be heavy, but anything over that, 6 inches and above, our whitetails don't move at all the following day to eat. They'll start moving a lot tonight, and in the morning if you come out here, it looks like hundreds of deer. We're really anxious to get their former favorite trails all marked up with their hoof prints. So anyway, we didn't expect to see that. Today what we're mainly doing is checking some of our stand site approach trails to make sure we're not going to have trouble finding our way opening morning. When we were down here in this area a little bit ago, we found 3 big trees that fell across our trail to a stand site. And rather than cut them, we don't cut big trees up here or any live trees, but so we detoured around them, and then we marked the detour with fresh tacks to make sure that when we get to those spots, we'll be able to find an easy way around them. So that's our big duty today, and we're just about done with our scouting for the season. We've got one more trail to check, make sure it's okay, and maybe add a few fluorescent tacks to it along the way, and then we can break camp and go home. But boy, is this a good break-in for wintry camping and hunting here for us Nordbergs. You know, we're not very far from the Canadian border, it's up that way, and so we get in Minnesota, the worst of our weather usually comes to this part of Minnesota. You get 40, 45 below zero for 20 days at a time up here, and sometimes hip-deep snow. We've had a couple of those hip-deep snow seasons in the past, and surprisingly, we did pretty well in those years. But so far, we found we found 3 really big bucks that we know, and we kind of got set up to hunt them, and we know there's more younger bucks in the area. We suspect we got one here. There was one good sized one here last year that we didn't get, and hopefully he made it through the winter, and he'll be rampaging through this area while does are in heat at least part of the time. And so anyway, we got plenty to be excited about during the coming hunting season. Starts in about 2 weeks. So with that, I'll see you next time I talk to you. I'll be in deer camp. Be sure to visit my website. Here's the link. Here you'll find links to my blog posts, my Twitter account, my YouTube account, my Amazon store with links to my ebooks, my son's eBay store, a money saver if you're ordering from Canada or other countries, my website bookstore, and much more.